Hello, everyone. This section will introduce the strategies and the ways of integrations in terms of functional approach and federal approach. The reason why I introduce this theory is that later, when I talk about the unification of Korea, you need certainly some theories to apply in order to explain the Korean unification. So the goals of this section helps the students understand and think about how to achieve integrations, including South and North Korean peaceful unification. Okay, let us define integration first. So what's the definition of integration? Integration literally has two meanings. The first, action or process of joining or mixing with a different group of people. Well, the other one is action or process of combining two or more things in an effective way. So mixing and combining are different. Mixing, if we think about the American system is called the so-called the melting pot. So variety of the people, different ethnic groups, different religions, different races, all those different people are mixed in a melting pot. But combining is a different notion. All these people can live differently. They keep their own culture, religion, and ethnicity. Combining. So mixing and combining are two different notions. But in international relations, integration is transforming two or more individual and independent units into a coherent system without any using violent means. So coherent system means that all these systems have some sticky or bondage among those people or different groups of the people. So coherence is quite necessary. In other words, integration means the establishing a community with functional interdependence. So in the 20th century, we have witnessed three types of integration. First, the integration among states, different states. In other words, the unification of divided nations. Can you name some divided nations in the 20th century? Perhaps Vietnam or Yemen, or I think you must know Germany. Germany used to be divided. And also Korea. All these divided nations, and some of which were united. For example, Vietnam or Germany. So states integration. Second type of integration is regional integration. First, the EU, European Union, NAFTA, North American Free Trade Association among the Canada, the US, and Mexico. ASEAN in Southeast Asia, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, totally 10 countries were integrated. APEC, Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation. Currently, there are 21 states are official members of APEC, including 10 ASEAN countries, and China, Korea, Japan, and the US, and Trinidad and Tobago, and all those countries. And third type of integration is world's integration. If you think that the UN is a form of world government, definitely is the world integration or world government. I mentioned about world government and the possibility of the world government in the different slides. Theoretically, it is possible to establish world government, but in reality, it's very difficult. That's what I explained. Now, let me introduce 4 examples of integration in the 20th century. First, Vietnam. Vietnamese unification or integration was made by war. So unification by war. Vietnam, it looks like this. It's a long country from north and south. It was divided with the 17th parallel. And North Vietnam finally invaded and occupied the capital of South Vietnam and finally achieved unification. The second example is Germany, the so-called absorptive unification. Right after the collapse of the Cold War in 1990, West Germany absorbed, which was the superior system, absorbed the inferior system of East Germany. So we call the absorptive unification. Okay, the third example is Yemen. You know where Yemen is? Yemen is located at the bottom of the underneath of Saudi Arabia. Yemen was divided. And in the North Yemen had a capitalist system and with about 20 million population. South Yemen had a socialist system and about 10 million population. And after the collapse of Cold War and also the German unification, both Yemenese governments declared the peaceful unification. But a couple of years later, the North Yemenese soldiers invaded South Yemen and finally occupied the whole territory of South Yemen. So Yemenese unification started with a peaceful unification and ended up with a war, like a Vietnamese style. The fourth example is the economic integration. NAFTA, I explained it, ASEAN and APEC and all these kind of economic integrations. So in the 20th century, we have witnessed 4 kinds of examples of integration.